What was life like then, professionally, personally? What were some of the things that you were really struggling with?
Um, I didn't even know I was struggling. I thought I was cruising along like I should have been as a business owner, but I just always felt like I was in this hamster wheel, just selling, 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 selling. Um, and I knew like where the goal was. I just I knew that I wasn't on the right path to get there. I was going to burn out pretty quickly.
Yeah, so it's not like life was bad. You were making really good living, a very successful business you built over the course of time. Uh,
Hmm.
but like you said, there was this sense that I can't keep the way in which I'm operating this business right now. I can't keep doing it this way because it's this hamster wheel, and eventually it's going to lead me to a place where I'm going to completely burn out, and maybe I'm already feeling a little bit burnout.
Yep.
So, what were describe that destination you were trying to get to, but you knew that you weren't on the current path to get there.
Like more freedom and more balance. Like this vision of wow, it'd be nice to like wake up and decide not to have to go hustle, right?
Mhm.
Or more balance with my family, my husband, with things that I love to do but never took the time to do.
Because up until this point, what percentage of your time was spent doing work?
I would say 75% to 80% of my week.
And then their 20% was sleeping? I'm just kidding.
The other percent was like working out really fast, walking the dogs really fast. Yeah, doing things really, really fast, as fast as I could.
And for anybody who's like a high achiever type A personality, like we can relate to that sense that like life is always rushed. Like I get it, everything must be done really fast because you got to fit every little bit last thing in. Efficiency, productivity, like everything must be quick,
Mm-hmm.
done well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is the name of the game. Today was a successful day because I got so much done, and then
Uh-huh.
out and exhausted on the other end.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then there's nothing left in the tank for your personal well-being or life.
Right. And this wasn't necessarily the case with you, I don't think, but what I oftentimes see is that people they'll work their tail off so that they're like burnt out and exhausted so they can escape from the life they've created by going on vacations places. So it's like I'm working really hard so I can afford to escape what I've created. And it's an interesting dynamic. So that's not where you are today. Talk about a little bit about where you are today. What has changed in your life professionally, personally, and what has been the impact of that? And then we'll get into after that. We'll get into a little bit of like, well, what were some of uh, the things you implemented in your life in your business that helped lead you to where you are now?
So today, I mean, I still have a lot of work to do. But there's the beauty of it is there's clarity. Like I can see the road that's going to lead me to where I want to be. And with that comes, I don't want to say less stress, but just like this calmness, like, hey, everything is cruising along just as it should. And I don't feel like the weight is on me as much as it used to be because I've brought on, a salesperson that is like through the roof, going to be phenomenal. I've brought on somebody else to help with the business. I've also and cleared out the confusion with the staff that I had because there was a lot of maybe lack of communication, maybe not miscommunication, but lack of communication. And our processes that were in place were not really processes. They were just like, oh, we'll wing it and see what happens.
So a big part of what's changed in your business now is you have made specific decisions. You got clarity on like the path from where you were to where you want to go. And part of that path has been leveraging your time through adding team members and not just delegating and elevating the people that you currently have on your team, but also leveraging your time through bringing on new people to help with adding more revenue, or to help with whether it's social media or it's client retention and client care or whatever it might be. What has that freed you up to be able to do that you weren't doing before?
Oddly enough, it has freed me to carve out time in my week to work on the business, which has allowed me to have, which you coined this, so I guess you coined it, was that mental margin, right? Like, I was in a place where I was just like, go, 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 go. I don't have time to think about, training an ad manager or whatever. I was just go, 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 go. And now I have blocked out time twice a week to work on the business and give my brain some room. And that has been probably the most wonderful thing, because I see where the potential is, like where I can go with everything.
What do you think have been the major benefits of creating that time in your calendar that's dedicated towards the development of your business versus just the maintenance of your business?
I look forward to it. I get excited about having that time block. It has brought to me great ideas and not only great ideas, but the ability to take those ideas and really figure out, okay, is that the route we want to go? Is that going to move our business forward? Is that the best thing for us? I will admit, though, in the beginning, when I did that, I entered those time blocks like twiddling my thumbs, like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Yeah. And I had to be very careful that I wasn't doing like the stuff, right? That just pushing papers around.
I mean, that distinction is so big between those two different types of tasks. There's the tasks that help you maintain the business. It's emails and sales and whatever else you're doing that's just, hey, these things always need to get done. And that's where whatever those things are for you in your business, like that's where we live. That's where we're most comfortable. So the default action is always going to go to do something that we're comfortable doing. We feel like we're proficient in doing that because it feels good to do something that we feel like we're already good at. The problem is that when you don't allow, when that's in your entire week, you don't allow space to solve problems and even just space to think about the direction you're going. When you wake up every morning and your default is run 150 miles an hour, oftentimes we don't even slow down enough to take the minute to say, is the direction I'm running in actually getting me closer to where I'm trying to go? Right. One of the things I hear all the time from entrepreneurs, and that we talked about too, Corey, is just that, like, I don't have time. I want to build the business to have it go this direction, but I don't have time to do that. There's no time because I'm so busy doing everything else, maintaining the business. So oddly enough, we keep ourselves trapped in that race and we never can invest the energy into getting it to where it needs to go. So blocking out that time on a weekly basis, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, to just work on the tasks that are important, maybe not so urgent, but they are important to moving the business forward. It can feel super awkward. Like you said, it can feel very uncomfortable because we're trying to exercise a muscle we're not used to exercising. Meanwhile, this other muscle we got built over here is like pumping iron like crazy, right? So it's like, but it doesn't get us anywhere. It just keeps us where we've been. So that choice, if you want to go somewhere you've never been before with your business, you have to engage in an action and activity that you've never done before, which in this case, in your case, Corey, was taking time out to carve out and work on the business. Now, what types of things, like what did that look like for you? Like try to flesh it out for us. If you were sitting down, like when you were doing that, now you're in a groove. When you're doing that now, what types of things make the list and the calendar to fit there, and why?
Um, well, I think the game plan that we created, like what's it gonna look like at the end of 2023? You know, keeping my eye on those things, that's what falls on the list. Like, okay, what needs to be thought about or focused on to continue to move towards those end goals? That's what makes the list, not um, responding to all the emails I didn't get to in the morning.
Now, I also know just from working with you one-on-one, you also implemented some time in your calendar that was unproductive time. Talk to me about that, what that process was like of creating time for that, how you felt initially, but now what it's actually provided you, both personally and professionally.
So when you first told me about that, I was like, I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for that.
What was it though?
To paint, to actually create, right? And
No,
I think
real quickly, just a pause. Just for context, I didn't just ask Corey randomly, like, hey, you should go paint. Like, this
right.
was something that was a hobby of yours that you've enjoyed for years.
Yes.
But oftentimes, as high achievers, the things that we used to enjoy, we no longer have time for those because that's not productive. It doesn't create revenue. So you would let that hobby, that thing you used to enjoy, kind of slide off of your calendar for years. So my challenge to Corey was like, make time to paint again. So go ahead. So how did that initially sit with you? And what was it like the first few times you did it? And how did you feel?
Well, I think I had a lot of pushback to you because I was like, well, I can do it on the weekends. And you had encouraged me to, get it in the week. So I chose Friday afternoons. And the other pushback I had was like, I have to be moved to paint and create. So I can't just go sit there and paint something. But I mean, that maybe happened once because now it's, again, I get excited about painting and creating. And my husband and I share the same office, and I just put in my music, and he has his back to where I paint. And sometimes he'll just turn around and look at me and just shake his head like, there she goes. Because I'm in my zone. And it really, I would encourage anybody who does not do this. Sometimes I have the best thoughts and ideas come to me when I'm just not thinking.
Yeah. There's actually studies that show this. And it was part of the reason I wanted you to do it is because I knew that you get enjoyment from it. But I knew that there'd be other benefits based upon all the research out there that says that when we allow ourselves to slow down, that oftentimes is the pathway to speeding up, to accelerating success in our business. Because our brains need space. They need space away from being actively always constantly trying to work, so that they can come up with creative solutions to problems we're facing, or come up with a new way of approaching something in the business. So I'm hearing you say, 6 months ago or so, you were stuck in business was great, successful, financially, everything's going well, but you were stuck in let's call it a hamster wheel, like you said earlier. And you had a vision for what you wanted to create. And a lot of entrepreneurs want to create more time, more freedom, more autonomy, and be less in the day-to-day, and have the business less reliant upon them to make everything work. So that's what you wanted, but the path you're on, running in this hamster wheel, it keeps things going, but it never gets you any step. You don't never actually get closer to a different destination other than the destination of the wheel. So some of the most important things that you put in place to make that shift from where you've been to where you are today, which is more autonomy, more freedom, more creativity, advancing the business forward, your revenue is growing, your team's growing, and you've done so without having to run harder and run faster. You've slowed down. So that was one of the things, was choosing to slow down, to speed up, creating that space in your calendar each week where you're working on developing the business and projects that exponentially grow the business, rather than maintain the business. The second thing I've heard you talk about is making space for activities that aren't necessarily tied to revenue, but they're tied to getting your mind off of the business, whether it's gardening or painting or, you know, bike ride or whatever it is, something where you're not trying to solve problems or make money. You're just engaging in something that you enjoy. And that has led to higher levels of creativity, more mental margin, like you said, to really come up with solutions for the business. And then the third thing is like doing a better job with the team you have of empowering them to handle problems when they come up. So often, I know this was the case with you initially, like as entrepreneurs, we're smart. We got a lot of answers to everything, and we think we know how things should be done. And so our staff has learned to come to us to solve all the problems that they have, and they won't take action unless they hear marching orders from us. So you've let go of the reins a little bit. I hear a lot of people talk about being control freaks, but once you let go of those reins a little bit, you've found that if I empower them to come up with solutions on their own and implement those ideas they have, not only do they feel better, more empowered, and feel like they're contributing to the team, I no longer have to constantly be the one that is everyone's waiting on to come up with answers for things.
Yep.
So what would you suggest? What would be something that, let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like, I can relate to that, Corey, like my business is great financially, but and my life's not miserable, but man, I can't see myself continuing to operate the same way I'm operating right now, 2 or 3 years from now. Something's got to change. What would be the biggest pieces of advice that you would give them if someone's in the space you were in 6 months ago?
Hard work. Like, it took hard work to get where I was 6 months ago. Like hard work, like hustle, grind, grit, hard work. It's even harder work to step back and look at your business and go, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z, or else I'm gonna be stuck there. But I think any entrepreneur has the ability. They're made of the things that are needed to do what you've done with me. Like they're capable of doing that. It's going to be super uncomfortable, but I would challenge them when you were uncomfortable before you got to where you are. So let's just get uncomfortable again.
I like that. Pick your discomfort.
Yeah.
Pick the discomfort of running in the wheel that you've created, or pick the discomfort of getting out of the wheel, even though it feels familiar running in that wheel. Perhaps there's a better path that's outside of it.